I think it's going to work. The Dynamic Sky Simulator.
Oh, cool.
And by this, I'm going to be able to show you guys a lot of stuff you're really... Okay, cancel. Let's see what's going on here.
Does it show all the asteroids that come pounding down?
Well, it shows a lot of stuff. So here we are. Okay, we're looking north. Can anybody find the North Star up there to get oriented? Do you see the Big Dipper? There's the Little Dipper. There's the star right there. The North Star. And the Big Dipper will be right here. Here's the handle, and here's the dipper itself, right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you
a test.
No, I'm going to give you a little
Homework.
show here. Yes. Okay, let's watch this now. Okay.
1, 2, 3. Oh, cool! Look at that.
All right, take a look here. Now let's just watch this, and you'll get the idea how the entire sky is rotating around Polaris. And you see the setting stars and the rising stars, of course. And
so you're progressing it from today's date, or?
Yes, and okay, here's tomorrow morning. The sun has come up. Now I can stop this, but what I want to do is go back to, let's see,
Do you know where on Earth you are? Where you looking?
right now this is in San Francisco, so let me change it to, that's the default. Let me put Atlanta in. Okay, then let's move it back to, let's see. You can see it's tracking the sun across there, okay. Here is, this is at, like 4 o'clock this morning. Okay, here we are at, what time is it now, Sam?
It is 7:20.
Okay, here's now.
2200
5
exactly.
after 10.
Okay, so there you can see the little clock up there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the east with this thing. We're going to turn it so we're facing east. Come on around. Okay, now I'm going to start and hit this. Ah! I'm still learning how to use this. Okay, has everybody got that? Okay.
No time speeding up. Not to that extent.
Wouldn't it be something if we left here and discovered it was actually January 17th when we left? Okay, let's go back to now. Change this to 1 minute. Okay, that's better. Okay, now we'll start.
Much nicer.
Yeah.
Some good music in the background.
Yeah, I think you can do that with this program. Okay, now here, we're standing here looking to the east. Yeah, Saturn is rising. This will be at, let me bring up, this would be at like 10 minutes to 2. I stopped it at 10 minutes to 2 this morning. If you're looking to the east, you'll see Saturn rising. If you're facing east, south is to your right, isn't it? Now what I want you to do is notice that everything is kind of rising at an angle from the horizon. That's because we're in the northern hemisphere. Okay, does anybody recognize any constellations yet? Bah! Didn't want to do that.
Orion's coming up.
Let's see what's coming up here. I see Hercules. Oh, it's morning. Luckily, though, in this program,
Make it dark again?
I can go to Display.
Yeah, cool.
Stop.
Oh, that's Golden Gate Park.
Oh, I guess it is, yeah. Okay, I can go to Display, And I'm going to take the daytime sky off. Okay, so I've taken, see now really this would be daytime, and this is not, okay, display, let's see, sky and horizon, let's get a different one up there. How about, how about desert road? Should we go into desert, or should we go on a mirrored lake, or a mountain lake, or a tropical beach?
Mountain lake. Desert rose.
Desert. Let's go to the desert. I like the desert. Okay. Choose image. Desert road.
Oh, they even got golf course up there.
Okay. All right. So there's we're now in the desert, watching it rise. Okay. So, Elizabeth, what'd you do?
I kicked it.
What's the name?
This is the first time I've tried to run this program on my laptop. So,
What is it? What's the name of it?
Voyager 4.5. Okay, let's proceed. We must have gone to the west. Yes, let's go back to the east. Let's go back to the east.
Do we all get to play with this?
I don't know.
How much is it? Everybody bringing a mouse.
So what,
It's like
it shows the,
250 bucks
it shows
maybe.
the sky patterns, is that it?
Oh, it shows, that's what I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you what it shows. Okay, so we see here stars rising. Now you're probably not recognizing, there's the big square up here is Pegasus. Right there.
What part of a dragon or?
But to help you get the picture, I'm going to, let me do this.
What time of the year is it the mouth of the dragon is spewing?
That
October, right?
October, right, early October.
And the Perseids or
The Draconids.
Draconids? Yeah.
When it's pissed off.
So you could show that October the 10th.
Yes, I could. Figures. Okay, let me show the figures so that you can see them.
Oh no, that's good.
You like that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
better.
This is
It's like being at the planetarium.
I think we should have a field trip to the planetarium.
okay. Now, take a look. What's rising? What do we see rising here?
A whale.
Notice here's Pisces, here's Aries. You'll notice Uranus. In the paths, the planets are traveling in the path of the plane of the ecliptic. The plane of the ecliptic intersects the 12 zodiacal signs. So as we watch here now, we'll see Aries rising, and then after Aries, we should see the bull rising. Ah, look, there's the Pleiades. You see it? Pleiades rising.
That's a bull?
Well, look, he's upside down. See, the moon is between his horns. You see him? See, here's his face.
Oh, God, that is a yoga.
Front legs. Those are his front legs.
Yeah. Those are his front legs, and here's his horns. So what's going to be rising next? Gemini, very good. Very good. Yeah, here comes Gemini, the twins.
In the crab.
There comes Gemini. Now this is a great way, if you combine this with actually going out, like once or twice a week, within a month or two, you'll be able to.
I want to do that.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I bought this. So, okay, so that shows that. Now,
Now, is that Leo? We're sitting right on the mountain?
Leo I don't think is up yet.
That's a cat. Looks like
Which one do you want to know about? There's Orion right over here.
Leo.
No, it looks like it's next to a pig. A pig and a cat.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, what is that?
That's the lynx. No,
What's a pig?
that's not a pig. That's a bear. That's Ursa Major, the great bear. The great bear.
What is the lynx?
Now Leo is coming after the
Leo.
crab.
Yeah, here comes Leo. Here's the rising of Leo right here. Here comes Leo.
What I want to know is how in the hell to get those pictures out of those
Exactly.
stars.
I'm
Never
I'm
figured that
there
out.
with you. Yeah.
Makes no sense.
A square.
Well, yeah, that's something worth thinking about.
It must have been on a trip.
Yeah.
Some kind.
Everybody.
Well, they were probably eating mushrooms.
Well, the people that named
What's
these
the
came from
triangle?
another planet, so
Karina,
what
what's
would they
that
be
triangle?
doing?
Triangle. Look, what is that
I mean,
triangle
the
next to
Earthlings
the
didn't they?
Leo?
I think that's the lyre. The no, sextants. The sextant. That's the sextant.
So does your cursor tell you what you're on there?
Well, you put the cursor over any constellation or any star or any object and just click and it'll tell you. So there's the constellation Hydra. And if you want to know, for example, this star that's in Hydra, roll the Alphard. Yes, and then you can pull up a box that'll give you information about that star.
I think
Oh,
we
where's
should have
Betelgeuse?
a field trip.
Well, that's up in Taurus.
Betelgeuse is?
Betelgeuse.
Let's see.
Betelgeuse, or how you say it?
Betelgeuse.
Betelgeuse.
You see that movie?
Yeah, I saw the movie.
Well, there's a
Nice.
star with the same name.
Betelgeuse?
Yes, but they don't call it Betelgeuse, they call it
Orion
Betelgeuse
Shoulder.
or something like that.
All right, here we go. Okay, sorry guys. Okay. Do I have 5 minutes left, Sam? Yep. Okay, take a look. Everybody, we only got 5 minutes left. Let's get on track here. Okay, here is a showing. This would be like in the northern hemisphere, say probably roughly around the latitude of Atlanta, perhaps. And you'll notice the circle with the cross, the quadrature of the circle, the sacred symbol from all the ancient cultures. Well, here's its practical application. It's a cosmic orientation device. And just as ancient peoples used it, you'll find it in modern astronomy courses. And basically, this shows the path of the sun relative to an observer in the northern hemisphere over the course of a year. Sun rising here, this would be a summer sunrise. This is summer solstice sunrise. Comes up here and you'll see how the sun is the highest. This is the summer when it's crossing the local meridian, comes down, sets in the west. Fall and spring equinox are going to be the middle line where it rises and sets due east and west. And this is winter solstice rising and setting. And you can see obviously why a winter day is a lot shorter than a summer day. Because how long is the sun going to be above the horizon following this path, say, compared to this path? It's going to be considerably shorter, isn't it? Okay, now, this is again from the northern hemisphere. What would an observer see who is sitting on the equator? Well, all of these arcs wouldn't be rising at angles, they'd be rising perpendicular to the horizon. Can you picture that? Okay. Okay, so now here shows the precession of the equinoxes, which is the astronomical motion behind the notion of the great year. It's this motion that takes 25,920 years that causes the succession of ages. Here's that cosmic cross again, the quadrature of the circle. One axis is the equinoctial axis and the other axis is the solsticial axis. So this cosmic cross exists in nature and it's rotating. See, it's rotating, and what we're interested in is where X marks the spot. And you see, here's your cosmic X, the celestial equator, the green line, the plane of the ecliptic, the yellow line. And these points of intersection are moving. They're moving. And here's the vernal point. So here is Pisces. Let's see, no, here's Aries, and here's Pisces. Pisces, Aries, going around this way, and the vernal point is moving. And I'm going to be able to, by using this software, and hopefully I'll have it worked out in 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be able to show you graphically in animation the progression of the great year. Here is what they call the precession cone. And you see this angle? That angle of the precession cone is exactly the same angle as that between the celestial equator and the plane of the ecliptic. 23.5 degrees. Right, look down there. Right there, there's your angle. Now, picture that angle close in your mind. Last summer, Brad and I went out and visited some of the Anasazi structures out west. And we saw a lot of kivas. And since then, I've been studying some of the geometry of the kivas. And as I was looking at the kivas, I kept seeing something. What does that remind me of? What does that remind me of? What does that remind me of? So going into some of the books that I had and some of the material I got on our trip, I went in and I found a graphic depiction of the generalized form, the standard form of the Anasazi kiva. And let's go to here, and I will show you this very quickly. Take a look at that.
I get it. I get it.
Take a look at it. Does anything look kind of
Yeah.
vaguely familiar?
Yeah. Same.
Look at that.
Cool. And was it on
You
the
see
north?
it?
Yeah. And was it on the same north, east, west?
Well, they vary, but this could be just a coincidence. But it's a very remarkable coincidence nonetheless. And then go back to here, and I asked the question, what would you see if you stood on the equator? All right, now take a look at this. This is, the green line represents a hypothetical horizon. And this particular alignment, what you're seeing here, is the yellow line is the plane of the ecliptic, and the white line is the celestial equator. So if you're standing on the equator, Earth's equator, the celestial equator is going to rise perpendicular to the horizon, and it's going to go straight up and down. And here's the X marks the spot. Now, if you look carefully, what's this right here? What is that little blob of stars right there? Let's see if we can bring in the figures. Okay, you see the bull? Now, let's take a closer look. This is the date 4,300 years ago. This is early April, 4,300 years ago. And what we see is that the vernal equinox was transiting through the bull, almost hitting the Pleiades themselves. And now I'm going to superimpose on that the radiant of the Taurid meteor shower. Now what I'm suggesting here is that possibly 4,300 years ago, Earth got bombarded by a swarm of debris from the Taurid meteor shower. Now what makes this interesting is that here you have this convergence of three things. You have you have the plane of the ecliptic, you have the celestial equator, and you have the vernal equinox, and then you have right there marking the radiant point of the Taurid meteor shower.
So you have three.
Now take a look. Picture going back here with the bull. Hopefully this is reminding you of something. Picture right here the sun god passing through the bull, right? The X marks the spot. Look at this. Can you almost see a symbolical blade of a sword right here? Coming down, pointing right there, stabbing into the heart of the bull. So now when you look at this, you have from the heart of the bull, you have the Taurid meteor stream pouring out, right? And then when we look at the imagery of Mithras, what do we find? The sword stabbing into the heart of the bull, the blood pouring out of the heart of the bull. We find the 7 stars universally symbolizing the Pleiades up there. We have Mithras wearing the cap, the Phrygian cap, remember? And what did we find associated with the symbol of the Phrygian cap? Do you remember? We discussed it in our Grail lectures, right?
Yeah.
What was it? Do you remember? The meaning of the Phrygian cap. You remember, don't you, Jeremy?
Oh, it's like the third, like the snake coming out of the serpent.
I showed you. I showed you.
I remember that, but I don't remember.
Oh, a meteor?
I will show you, and then this will be the last thing, and then we'll all go home to think about the things you've learned tonight. Okay, so take a look at this picture, and this could very well be what I suspect could be the most likely explanation for the 12,900 year ago event. And if you look at this, this is a comet nucleus essentially disintegrating as it passes within the gravity field almost a direct impact, but not quite. But in the process of disintegrating, you could have literally billions of chunks of material that the Earth could then sweep through. And if it was relatively close to the comet nucleus, given that the Earth is moving at 18.5 miles per second, it's very likely that one hemisphere of the Earth would probably receive the brunt. And all the evidence does suggest that the western hemisphere of Earth received the major brunt of these events. So, in the next class, next lecture, I'm going to have a lot more stuff pulled from the astronomy, because I'm making movies out of this to try to demonstrate some of these principles and how they work.
So what's the cap?
The cap,
Representing a comet, or what?
yes.
Bring it to a close, Chief.
Okay, then. And then,
Can I put a request in?
yeah.
To do this, the same thing that you did here on this date for 2012,
Oh, yeah.
December 21.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was planning on doing. And this,
Do it when Powell's gone.
Yeah, we'll do it after you leave. Yeah.
Another rerun as soon as I get back.
here's the constellation of Leo.
Oh no.
This is spring equinox, 11,500 years ago. So if you were standing on the equator, watching the stars rise on that morning, you would see Leo rising, and there's the sun right there. And now I'm going to put in the radiant of the Leonid meteor shower. Now it's very possible that in the length of time that has transpired since that day, that the position of the radiant has shifted. However, it's very close, and this is one of the things I'm exploring. Here's the question that's raised to me by these two. Is it possible
Yes, it is.
that the alignment, that there's something at work here that increases the possibility of there being, shall we say, like a conduit or a window that opens when there are certain celestial configurations that allows an influx of cosmic material?
Or forces it. Instead of
Well, I mean, it's going to be ultimately gravitational.
What about in February of 2000? I mean, February of 00.
February of 00.
Yeah, supposedly when Jesus was born.
Well, we can look at all that. Make a list of things you'd like to see. And we can
I
read.
think anytime that
All right, bring it
alignment
to a close.
happens.
Okay, so what we're going to do here then is we're going to spend, I'm going to show you using this astronomy software here so we can really get a clear picture of the precession of the equinoxes in the great year. And within that now we can go back and recreate key dates and look at what was happening, the celestial alignments, the geometries, and so on. And I think this may open up a whole new dimension of research that could...
And can we have a night out where you point out the stars?
Yeah.
I really might have.
Wait till summer.
Wait.
Wait till summer.
Well, the problem is then the winter stars are gone. We have to look through the Earth to see them. Well, I'm pretty much, I guess that's it then.